Did I hit a button I wasn't
No,
supposed to?
no, it wasn't him at all.
This is
You have no screen?
this screen.
So we're going to change out the battery real quick.
Okay, no, I didn't know. When we went to the Williams. Well, you know what? Then you're gonna have to go on.
So the sign inside this gate actually says, no, it's not that battery. It's the battery inside the camera. That battery's brand new. So the ghost, it says inside here on the sign. There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. It's okay, fix it.
Sorry.
Used to doing it in the dark. You're fine.
I've just been watching that like there's just a battery sticking out there. So.
Yeah, I think my dude did that the other night.
Mama, finally? No.
So the ghost sign says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for that. The reason is because in 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy 6 days after her stillborn child. So, with that said, 1987, there's a local photographer in town who used to take beautiful photographs of all of our cemeteries. He captures a full apparition of a woman wearing a shawl with a baby basket next to her over that grave. Now, yeah, this stuff for guys like me is like gold, because it's unmistakably pure evidence, kind of like what I showed Jack earlier from the video. So, let me slide this back in there. The picture is cursed. Women that hold the picture will not feel well, have the same symptoms like what I told you about at Big John's. So, the other piece of it is females that are pregnant and holding it will not have a good pregnancy. You can obviously see why I don't show the picture. So if something shows up on your spirit boxes, I will always give you a link that says heated warning. But again, that's the reason why that sign is there, is because of that actual story. They don't want people coming up here with all of the crazy cameras trying to capture evidence. Now the light that's over here to the left is actually pointed. It's a motion light, so it'll sense if there's people over here. I'm going to move around a little bit so it shines back on us again. But my cameras penetrate right through it. They don't want us here. However, every ghost tour stops here. So take it for what it's worth, just nobody investigates the way that we're doing it tonight. So you actually point your camera and see and show everybody what the signs are. The only ghost in St. Philip's is the Holy Ghost.
What is it, 700? Going is 4.
Yeah, I'll give you the times. But yeah, that's the reason why that sign is there.
How old is the cemetery?
Because it's been reconstructed several times. I want to say 1780. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I will get you that answer. But again, it's a rarity for us to be able to get this close to the cemetery because everybody stops here.
Cemetery or church?
Both.
And it's so crowded. I mean, it's so everything's so close together.
Now, I want you to keep in mind too, on the other half, that's the other half of the cemetery.
Oh.
This side is for native Charlestonians only. Everybody else goes over there. So if you're not from here, you go over that side. Now, your 7th vice president is buried over there. Yep, because it
I'm
just
not
moved.
from here.
So, with that said, Calhoun, our 7th vice president, is buried on that side. They moved him several times because he lived here so long they thought he was from here. He's not. He ended up over there.
Isn't it crazy?
It is. And the funny
Look how
thing
old
is
that
I get
is.
the name Andy and Andrew a lot around this area. But recently, I would say over the past 3 weeks, he served under Andrew Jackson.
Ah.
And one night, I actually had Andrew Jackson show up on your word list.
Really?
I said Andrew, then Child, then Jackson. And that was at the Pinckney Mansion site.
Have people been in here?
Andrew Jackson is from Nashville.
You said Johnson earlier.
From Greenville. Yeah, Andrew Johnson. But Andrew Jackson, what was he in Nashville? Wait,
Not even on the map.
where's Andrew Jackson from?
I was trying to remember. I don't.
Is there some big deal in Nashville that was going on about that?
Well, of course, he lives there, and that's where the mansion is. And of course, but he was not a native Tennessean.
Right.
In fact, I think that he was a child on a ship. I think I don't know,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I did read that.
struck him with something or other, and permanently.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I did read that somewhere.
But he did something in Tennessee because we've got a big monument in Nashville, don't we?
Oh yeah, well the Hermitage is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right. I mean,
that's where his home was.
okay, yeah.
Alright, guys, let's go learn about some pirates. Let's go this way.
Very
Come on,
big, bright light.
We just ate all these crab legs and things. I bet we smell it, the fish are. Mm. Yes, sir, you will. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's why we're recording. Alright, our last stop. So you wanted to know how much longer we were going to be. So I'm keeping you informed. So we're going to actually be talking about the building over there with the crosses on it. So those actually are not crosses over this way. Those are earthquake bolts. We can actually move up this way.
I don't see. What are you talking about?
Over there. Over there. Those little buildings.
Oh, okay.
Those are earthquake bolts. So the theory behind that is they're
Earthquake what?
earthquake bolts. So they are turnbuckles. So in the event we have another earthquake, you're supposed to be able to twist those turnbuckles and it'll straighten the building back up again. It's a great theory, but it doesn't work. So the interesting thing about those particular earthquake bolts, and as we get closer, you guys will see how crude they are. They're not even cut the same length, but those were the very first earthquake bolts we put in because this is the oldest government building on the East Coast.
Really?
Finished in 1713. Yes.
This.
The little building in the front.
Oh, okay.
This was a gunpowder magazine. So this held gunpowder for 7 different wars, including the Civil War. That was the last one that it served in. I told you guys about the Charlestown walls earlier, where we were in Lodge Alley. This is the street that we crossed going down East Bay Street. This is where the wall was. So it went up just past the powder magazine and started going south towards the battery. It's locked into the corner on purpose. It's 3 blocks away from the water. If it gets attacked by cannon, it's going to have a hard time going through those almost 3-foot walls. They're 32 inches thick. So let's say that it gets all the way through and it hits the gunpowder and blows it up. There is sand in the roof underneath those shingles from 1712 that it goes up with the explosion and it's supposed to fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. Another great thing, it doesn't work either. We had another powder magazine close to the battery. It did burn down. The sand went up, it fell, could not put out the fire, the whole building burned to the ground.
That was such a good idea.
It was, so look at earthquake bolts. So again, the whole building is created on a lie. So let's just take it for what it's worth.
Do people live in there?
They do live in there. Very good. Those are apartments. So
That is old. That's the old 1700.
the little guy up in the front,
Yes.
not this one. So you can actually see like a little bit of a roof line on the apartment. You see where the bricks change?
Yeah.
So that was actually part of, like, you gotta remember, it didn't always hold gunpowder. So it was a mercantile, it was a textile. They changed it into different businesses because the government needed new things. So it only held gunpowder for a short amount of time for all of those different wars. Because they moved it. You don't want to keep it in one spot, then everybody will, your enemy will find out where it's at. Right. So I tell you all of the history on this particular building because our story starts right in the middle of its construction. So it took a whole decade to finish this building, 1703 to 1713. The story starts in 1708. We have that. So 1708, follow me on this one and I'll keep it PG as much as I can. Now, 1708, a young lady moves here named Anne Cormack. So Anne moves here with her dad and his mistress, who happens to be her mother. You guys follow me on that one? The 3 of them are getting away from his wife.
Oh, okay.
Got me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this foreign lady, they moved halfway across the world to get away from that. So they land in Charleston. Dad starts a plantation up in the Georgetown area. He sends Anne down here because mom dies pretty quickly after they arrive. So he sends Anne down here to either sell the wares or sell the rice or whatever they were. I don't even know if on a plantation. I haven't found that yet. But she knows this building pretty well, which is why we're here. It's something familiar, and it's still here. That's why I get so much evidence out of this place. So anyway, we're going to fast forward to its finish, 1713, 1715. She's a teenager now, and pirates are coming through town. Rumor had it that Anne, when she was a child, killed servant. So that doesn't tell you how weird this girl is going to be throughout the whole story. So when pirates are coming through town, she's excited. She falls in love pretty quickly. She falls in love with James Bond. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. Of course he doesn't approve. They run away to Jamaica and they get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. So, when she gets down there, she realizes that Bonny is not who she thought he was. He's a privateer, which basically means he's a spy for the British and a coward. This is not the pirate that she wanted. She falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. We will refer to him as Jack through the rest of the story. Jack has his own ship. He's very young and dapper. He's called Calico Jack because he wears the jackets of the men he knows. So, that's just who he was. He was that Captain Jack Sparrow type mentality. She wants to be part of his crew. Females curse pirate ships and not have a girl on a pirate ship. He says, you can come on my crew as long as you dress like one of the guys and nobody knows you're a female, which of course you can be a female in my quarters. He's the captain, of course. So, with that said, she's already cool with this cross-dressing piece because Dad used to hide her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she just is okay. Being a female in his quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. He cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the ship. So he sends her away to Cuba to go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She comes back with no baby. He has no idea what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a girl. She doesn't care anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack mad. Jack also just captured another pirate crew and they're being held captive down below deck. So to make Jack even more mad, because that's who Anne Bonny is, she's going to go down and flirt with these guys. The guy she starts flirting with reveals his gender to be a female, pretending to be a guy to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured. So, we have two females doing the exact same thing. The British find out where they are. They send in all of their ships to come capture Calico Jack's ship. The men are all down below deck, too drunk to come up and fight. So it's Anne Bonny and the young lady that she was flirting with, her name was Mary Read, by the way, to come up and fight. It's the only two. Obviously, the ship gets taken, including Calico Jack. Anne Bonny's last words to Jack were, you should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog. So the word dog shows up here quite a bit too. Now, the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. So when you guys hear my name, it's not me, it's the judge. He wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly by themselves. He already tries and hangs all the other men, including Calico Jack. They're dead, they're gone. The two young ladies go in front of the judge. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves because they're girls, and he doesn't care. He basically says, you're still female pirates, I don't care. I'm going to hang you anyway. I just wanted to talk to you about, why you fought back. We plead our bellies, was the last thing they said, which means they're both claiming to be pregnant. Trying to save themselves, of course. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. Fine, we'll send you back to jail. Dad is still here in Charleston with his Irish money. He bails out and brings her back to Charleston. She remarries again. That's guy number 4 in case you guys lost tally. So, has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. Now, as far as Mary Read, she's still in jail. She's a pirate in a Jamaican jail. So she died in 1721 from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. So we don't know if the pregnancies were legit, if they weren't legit. This is what I normally call a level 3, where you guys get to ask whatever you want to. The only things I did not give you for your spirit boxes is the name of Calico Jack's ship and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. I do that purposely so that way you guys have some facts to go on. Keep in mind, I've read numerous books on this woman. I only told you the things that were common in those books. I want facts. I want things that are going on. I don't know what happened in Cuba. I don't know, the whole story. I'm always looking for extra answers. Keep in mind, when she was with Jack, she was still married to James Bonny. Calico Jack tried to buy the dowry from Bonny, and Bonny refused. So she was still married that entire time until Dad brought her back here. I don't know what happened to James Bonny, where she was able to remarry, but that's the story that I have. So, we do want to hang out next to the side of the building. We're going to go to the front of the building with the cameras, so that way you guys can get some footage going inside the gates if you want. But yeah, definitely turn up your spirit boxes here, and I do want to take a look at your word lists to kind of see if you have anything going on there. As far as what your device is going to do, if it does anything, I'm going to be excited. We have the word boy.
We do?
She had to dress like a boy to become part of the ship. Very interesting. So again, I'm still looking for another clue with that. I don't know who Ryan is. So again, probably part of the 80%. let's move in this way so we can get closer to the building. Camera folks, you guys can go to the front if you'd like. Again, if yours does anything, I need to know. This is not like the Eliza Pinkman's. She's so tired, I can see it.
She is tired.
What's nice is there's actually a little like brick wall over here that's short enough where you can actually have a seat. You want to sit down for a few? Your feet tired? No. She's like, I'm not taking anything from you, dude. I'm not even gonna take a seat. 1713. So
There's nothing in it now.
it's a museum. It actually has uniforms from all the different wars that it served in, and it has the artillery.
Powder.
Powder magazine.
And these.
Yep. Same crosses on the other side. You have two men on either side. The giant wrench is turning it. Yeah.
Really?
Well, if you think about it, this building also has a great hole. They're a big core for us now, but these are the floors. So those are through the floors of this particular building. When you guys are walking around, you've probably seen some pineapples and lion heads and all kinds of things. It's decor now. It's part of Charleston charm. So again,
It had a purpose then.
then they thought it did. But again, all those earthquake bolts that they installed are pointless. So they don't do anything. I talk to a lot of Californians, so they know all about how to keep buildings safe during an earthquake. This is not the way.
This is not the way, no.
This is an old science. They all laugh whenever I show
This
it.
is really hilarious though.
But the sand is still there from 1712. It's 300 years
Oh
old.
my gosh, you can see it coming out, can't you? Is that what that white stuff is coming out? No, it's just.
The sand's about ready to fall on somebody's head.
Yeah, I know. It does look like that from there.
It's underneath those red shingles. So if you lift up the shingles,
The buildings are ready to fall over. It's not going to take an earthquake.
You're still working?
rolling bolted steel. So what does that mean? It has 8 giant pillars that make up the building around the outside, and they all meet up to one giant pillar on the inside.
I was hoping to see some heat forms come in around Sarah, and you don't see anybody standing there, but you see these heat forms. That's not the way it works. How much tip, honey? Is it recording?
Very, very famous burial ground right up the hill, all kinds of historical markers. But now there's a very, very long time. Oh, yeah.
Mom, tell me if you hear anything. 5?
house was taxed based on the front. How much space did you take up in the front? So if they can take a skinny space up front and go long, they're only taxed on this part.
That is interesting.
That's
And
clever.
it makes a whole lot of sense, yes.
Very clever. But I
That
mean,
is really.
yeah, and you wouldn't get the smell of low tide as high up as those houses are down on the Battery, like you would over in Lodge Alley with the water coming this way. So again, the smell of low tide was coming over here. They didn't get a whole lot of that low tide smell. They just got the breeze from the water. That's why they moved it. There's all kinds of interesting things about the housing out here. It's crazy. Are we getting anything at all? Nothing? Nada?
This is the first one.
Did you hear anything, Mom?
Well, that's the one I think was 7. That's the one we were just standing. That is the highest, that's the tallest people in the house. Now the funny thing is, from the earthquake of 1886, it's actually off just a little bit. It's not perfectly 90 degrees up in the air. It's actually quaked to the left.
Really?
Yeah. You can't see it with your own eyes. It's not that significant, but it is off to the left. You really are a man of few words, aren't you?
I listen. Well, interesting.
Whose idea was it to come on this tonight?
Vertical, you were just talking about the
I
steeple.
was just talking about that. Now I have to give you the link of where it came up with.
Whose idea was it? Well, we were
I
going
know.
to do a ghost tour, and Abigail found it.
This was all you. And how old are you?
16.
16. It's hard for me to gauge age on kids because my daughter, my youngest, is 15. She's this tall. I'm not kidding. My 21-year-old, this tall. She's shorter. Like,
Yeah.
their mom is really short. She's like, I think 4'11". So she's not quite 5 foot. So I mean, she was pretty short. But I was really surprised to see like both of the girls came out this tall. Like, can somebody grow? Somebody? Anybody? Now when I see kids like you, no offense calling you a kid, but I'm like, I have no idea how old you are.
Right.
Like, you could be
She's-
19, you could be 18. I have no idea.
She's almost 5'10".
Yes. She's tall.
Mom's short.
I'm sure she's short. Yeah.
It's just weird because most of the men in my family are tall, but the women are short. So I guess my daughters picked up the same trait of my
Yeah.
family, but their mom is also short. So
Yeah.
very weird. I think you guys did a great job with that piece, at least trying to listen. Again, that's the hardest thing
It is.
out of there. I am excited about 4 or 5, so we'll see what comes out of it in
Okay.
the morning, and kind of see what we capture there. I know this one is really, really tired, so I'm going to start
She did a
collecting
great
devices.
job
She
though,
did.
didn't she?
She was able to.
You
She
did.
gave me the alerts of what was going on.
Good job.
Yeah, for sure. And with the data
Consequence.
tomorrow, that's where the fun
Oh,
for me
man.
really begins. So that's what I have the most fun with, is going through all of the
Putting it
extra
all
data.
together, you have to see what you've got.
So when I do my own investigations, keep in mind, I don't go walking around like this in museums.
Right, right.
You know, I have all this stuff running on me. So like your spirit box runs on mute, it's in my pocket. The thermal imaging camera is sitting in this pocket with the camera just sticking out.
Right.
I have the word list going on my phone. I have, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if I'm visiting museums in weird places, kind of see what you got going on there. I seen you were recording a lot. Yeah, we actually got, because it starts off with an hour and 8 minutes, so you're gonna have an hour and 5 minutes, so that's actually quite a bit. So see how long that takes to process. I'll get this shut off. Yeah, that's gonna be a long time. So the more I have to look at, the better. Let me move over here so I can put the bag down. Let's start getting this device going. This way you guys can start asking me questions. You can come on over this way, guys. What questions do you guys have? Comments, concerns? I know Gail was super interested in all the history, so that was pretty evident.
There's a lot of it here for sure.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
your imagination just goes wild with history. I mean, like, what were they thinking and why did it do that?
Yeah,
you know?
it's crazy.
You have to make your next trip to Savannah.
There's a lot going on there too.
Really?
Yep, I got a lot. Alright, so let's get this video stopped. So you guys are still going to have 25 minutes of this video.